My name is Tahir Chaudhary. I am your host of today's event. I am Vice Chair, Industry Academia Linkage, Open Source Foundation of Pakistan. To start our today's proceeding, our first speaker, he is the chair of this conference, Mr. Salim Rafiq. He will throw some light on today's event's background and the Open Source Foundation. Mr. Salim Rafiq, DG Nadra Technologies Limited.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम। तो आज हम अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ डिस्कस करेंगे, पोटेंशियल हमारा क्या है, प्रिपेयर्डनेस हमारी क्या है और वे फॉरवर्ड क्या है। ओपन सोर्स की थोड़ी सी डेफिनेशन कर दूँ। आज बहुत सारे लोग ओपन सोर्स पे बात करेंगे, बट लेट मी टेक द लीड and not take the credit, but start the discussion. ओपन सोर्स जो अनइनिशिएटेड है इसके बारे में मोस्टली आपका टेक्निकल का बैकग्राउंड है, तो मोस्ट ऑफ यू मस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ इट. ओपन सोर्स इज़ फ्री लाइसेंस सॉफ्टवेयर, हार्डवेयर, फर्मवेयर, व्हाटएवर इन द टेक्नोलॉजी एरिया. इट्स फ्री लाइसेंस. लोगों ने डेवलप की चीज़ें और उसको एक रिपोजिटरी पे रख दिया और जो भी उसको इस्तेमाल करना चाहे कर सकता है. लाइसेंस्ड होता है, लेकिन आप शेयर करते हैं सोर्स का, उसको रीयूज़ कर सकते हैं, रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं. स्केलेबल, कस्टमाइजेबल, कोलैबोरेटिव है, पोर्टेबिलिटी होती है. तो ये ओपन सोर्स के ये मज़ा है कि आपकी डेवलपमेंट कॉस्ट, आपकी सपोर्ट कॉस्ट बहुत कम हो जाती है. अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ में मस्ट से कि वी आर एट द ब्रिंक ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज़. हमारे पास एक बहुत बड़ा एक दरवाजे खुल रहे हैं अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. और उसके साथ अगर हम ओपन सोर्स को साथ ले आएँ तो द वर्ल्ड इज़ ओपन फॉर अस. वर्ल्ड इज़ ओपन सोर्स एंड आई विल प्रूव इट टू यू इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू स्लाइड. एक बड़ा जो चेंज पाकिस्तान में आ रहा है, जिस पे एक मेजर इवेंट जियोग्राफिकल होराइजन में हम अगर इसको देखें तो चाइना पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर, जो कि चाइना के साथ पाकिस्तान ने एग्रीमेंट साइन किया है $46 बिलियन का, वो एक इवेंट, बल्कि इवेंट नहीं, एक हमारा पूरा सिलसिला शुरू हो रहा है और इसमें बहुत सारी डेवलपमेंट ऑलरेडी हो चुकी हैं.
We have Mr. Niaz A. Malik, Deputy CEO, Zong Headquarters, Islamabad.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम व नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला नबिय्यिल करीम. इन्नल्लाह व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लू अलैहि व सल्लिमू तस्लीमा. When Dr. Asim asked me to sponsor this particular form, it was a no-brainer for me. It was no-brainer for me because we believe in the potential of Pakistan. We believe in the youth of Pakistan. And we believe in all those platforms that can combine us on one single platform, that can provide the ability to our students, provide ability to our academians, that provide ability to our entrepreneur to experiment with new ideas, ability to chase your dream and make the difference in this nation. And hence, the open platform and the foundation is the bedrock for us in the years to come. And I really appreciate all the great work that has gone into this. As a software graduate long time ago, I have seen the evolution of this process. I have seen the dividends that the open source have brought to the communities. I have seen the changes and the transformation and the paradigm shifts that have been built over the open source systems. And I have seen companies sunk and nowhere to be found today who did not believe in the collective wisdom. And hence, the open source, in terms of how we collectively envision things and use the data and the code, will make a difference for Pakistani societies. We believe in this because we are investing $1 billion, the only company in Pakistan that is investing $1 billion in this economy. 1 अरब रुपया हम इस मुल्क में लगा रहे हैं. And when I was building this strategy with my team, a lot of people ask me why we have to do this. When there are so many bombs that are being exploded left and right, when the reports across the globe are not in our favor. But we believed in you, the youth of Pakistan. We believe in the academy of Pakistan. We believed in the education system of Pakistan that is producing the most brilliant students that will come forward one day, use our platforms to enhance their vision and make the difference in the global community.
I'll invite the next speaker. He is a great personality. He is a great initiator. He is heading Pakistan Software Export Board, and also he is member executive council, Open Source Foundation of Pakistan, Mr. Asim Hussain.
This is the second time that Open Source Foundation of Pakistan is conducting a conference on open source. We had the first one last year. So the goal is to really create awareness about open source in Pakistan and how we can go about increasing the adoption of open source in Pakistan. So first I'll talk about the IT industry of Pakistan. Then I'll talk about PSEP's activities last year. I'll talk about our plans for this year. And finally, PSEP's role in promoting open source in Pakistan. PSEP was established as a government body around 20 years ago to grow the IT industry of Pakistan and to increase our IT exports. PSEP has different industry support programs such as research studies, IT parks, bandwidth, CMI certification, participation in international exhibitions, internships, trainings, and many other programs for the IT industry. So our goal is to connect local companies with foreign customers and investors. When I joined PSEP, the IT remittance figure as reported by State Bank was $370 million. I'm glad to announce that, mashallah, this June 2015, that figure had grown to $528 million, a growth of 42% in 1 year. And our goal is to take our remittances to, inshallah, at least $1 billion by 2020.
Our next guest speaker is Professor Dr. Ashraf Masood, Military College of Signals, NUST, and he is also Vice Chair, Open Source Foundation of Pakistan. He will talk about open source hardware. Sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Believe me, the other paradigm, which is the open source hardware, is, I would say, very less talked about, especially in this country. What is an open source hardware? As we all expect, open source hardware is a term of tangible artifacts, machines, devices, and other physical things whose design has been released to the public in such a way that anyone can make, modify, distribute, and use those things. They are not patented, they are not copyrighted. One might think that if somebody designs any such thing, such an hardware, why should somebody share it with others free of cost? So this is the question we need to explore today, and we need to look at the benefits and the so-called apprehensions about the negative side of this thing as to how it can happen. Conceptually, free and open source hardware, which is normally written as FOSH, F-O-S-H, is similar to free and open source software. The term actually means that this hardware can easily be made. This can be entire design of that hardware, which includes its drawings, schematics, bill of materials, PCB layouts, HDL code, which is the embedded one, IC layout data, if there are any system on chip, in addition to the software which drives this hardware, they are all made openly available to the public, free and LIBOR terms.
Others. We need to bring new revenue streams because existing revenue streams are already eroding. WhatsApp and Skype and these kind of over-the-top players are actually taking the pie from the telecom operators. So also another challenge which is being faced by telecom industry is the time to market and the agility which is required now, which probably was not needed previously when there was monopoly and those kind of things were happening. I strongly believe that open source can sort out all of these challenges which I have just mentioned. I would like to mention here software-defined networking and network function virtualization. These are the true, I would say, dramatic concepts, and the shifts in the telecom industry and the network industry are coming up. Open source is already kind of, there is a forum which is called Open NFV Forum, which is working for a standardized framework for NFV.
Assalamualaikum, sir. Sir, how do you foresee the concept of this open source programming in Pakistan and the future of such softwares?
I think that initially I thought that since it was not my field and it could be a kind of a jargon for me, I wouldn't be able to understand anything. My only interest was that if I could get something in relation to the healthcare program, whether it's done from the government side and the private sector, and at the same time if we could organize or something, some of the other streamline the procedural things in a major organization, that would be wonderful. And by the end of the day, I think once I've listened to all the guest speakers and we've had some kind of panel discussions, so we were able to find some solution for our problems. And I think I'm going home very happy that finally I think we have some projects to be completed in the next year or so, and for that matter I think the e-health is very important, and then the streamlining our online kind of a program for a major organization that is on the board, and hopefully I think should be completed in the next few months or so. This was very fruitful program. I think that I would like to attend it next year as well, if I'm invited to attend such kind of a function. I would advise my colleagues, the professional colleagues as well, that they should participate in these conferences. These are usually very helpful as far as our daily problems are concerned.
And sir, do you think if this program is continued from now on, and if there are such workshops in the universities, they'll increase the knowledge and they'll increase the diversity in the students regarding the field?
Yeah, this is really very important. There's always a disconnect between the university teaching and the industry. And this is a kind of a place where the students they should be more involved in such kind of projects. And when the students, they are given kind of, once they have the theoretical knowledge, then they can apply their knowledge in these, such as these kind of programs or projects. And it's very helpful. Since I'm working one of the government organization and I'm recruiting the fresh graduates and students, and my only worry is when they come to me for the interview, they don't have any kind of experience. And I always tell them that if you have some kind of a degree or a certificate, that doesn't carry any value. You do the certificate, spend next 6 months to 1 year as an attorney and gain some experience. That makes your CV very, very important and very, very lucrative. So as a recruiter, when someone comes to me without any experience, without an internship, it doesn't have any value. So my advice to the students is they should attend as many kind of conferences like this while they are studying in the university. At the same time, they should be interacting with the entrepreneurs and with the industry and with the people who can give them some kind of internship, and they should spend some time in those organizations from 6 months to 1 year to gain some experience. They are very, very valuable then.
Sir, most of the time, what we hear from the students, they say that when we are in the market and we try to find out that if there are some jobs or there are some internships, we are unable to find them. So, by these summits, do you think there will be a connectivity between students and the companies, and there will be more opportunities for the students of internships and jobs?
I think these are the need of the hour. These kind of activities are good for the students because they find they have some. This is a great opportunity for the students to interact with these entrepreneurs and the people who give them jobs. And at the same time, I think they can identify those places and they can apply for the job. At the same time, I think the university or HEC for that matter, they can always, I think, send these students to those organizations for internship either during their studies or once they have completed their studies soon after that, and they can spend their time over there before getting any job.
So, thank you so very much. Sir, first of all, congratulations on such a wonderful event. And sir, what do you foresee? Will there be more opportunities in the market for students and for entrepreneurs after this?
Yeah, thank you very much. As President, Computer Society of Pakistan, as Vice Chair, Open Source Foundation, as President and CEO, Pakistan Institute of Entrepreneurship, there is a lot of opportunity after this session, as we have accumulated all the stakeholders from the industry, from the academia, from students. Everybody participated in a way that there must be something out of that. We are expecting some entrepreneurial activities, some startup companies. We have established, alhamdulillah, 217 companies so far for the last 3 years. And now, after this session, we are expecting 20, 30 more companies on the base of this open source software. So, in terms of training, in terms of consultancy, in terms of conversion from the existing software to this open source software. So, yes, answer is yes. We are expecting a lot of opportunities in Pakistan after this session.
Sir, that's wonderful. Sir, as we have seen today's discussion, there are still many lags between industry and the entrepreneurs. Both of the parties, they are having their own concerns regarding collaborations and stuff. So, do you think that such summits and if there are other workshops in the longer run, they'll be beneficial to dissolve these issues and to make a good bonding out of them?
Yeah, actually, the solution for every problem is on the table. If you are fighting a war against two countries, you have to sit down on the table. You can see the history. So in this case, yes, these awareness workshops, seminars, conferences, summits, they have one common agenda. That is to sit and resolve the issues, and we are doing that. We are doing workshops, we are doing consensus development, we are doing training and development workshops, these seminars, awareness, and we have collaboration with the Higher Education Commission on that. And today HEC announced that they will establish 30 computer labs in Pakistani universities. It's a landmark. So in my opinion, the opportunity, the objective, the forecast which we were expecting from this session is more than 100% achieved. And I'm really glad to have participation from all the stakeholders, and it will work as we are thinking, inshallah.
Sir, thank you so very much and best of luck for your future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Sir, do you think after such summits and after such workshops, it will be a new era for the freelancers and for the new developers who are coming into the market?
One thing to understand is that freelancers are people who take up working on their own by choice. They're not compelled by the job markets, because the freelance culture is a sort of a hacking culture, and hacking means to play with. That playful mindset comes into freelancing, and they form this ecosystem. From one research I did, there were nearly 8,500 freelancers in Pakistan that earn between $1,000 to $2,000 a month, developing software, working on open source, working on these open technologies, and then bring these income into the country. This is part of your remittance system in Pakistan. This is not an under-recognized system, right? This is a well-adopted system in Pakistan. So primarily what happens is that, these kind of events, they are a bit separate from the government. They work in an ecosystem of their own. So this ecosystem is necessary to run in parallel. And the open source software itself is an industry which runs in parallel with the proprietary software industry. When it comes to the issue of whether we're going to be part of this wave or another wave, to tell you the truth, governments across the world, nearly 70 governments have signed something called an open government partnership. And they're opening up their governments. They're letting the private sector and freelancers and hackers step in and pick up the data and make meaningful companies out of it. For example, New York University has a website which is called Startup 500 and Data 500. The 500 companies have been showcased who work with these open source and open technologies, and they produce these valuable applications that the government uses, that the people use in civil society and private sector use. So the idea behind this culture is that this is an ecosystem. It's an established ecosystem. If the government invests in this ecosystem, there will be a new wave. But if it does not invest, sorry to say, the kind of portfolio we present across the world, those countries will be far ahead of us in the next 10 years. So we really have to get on this whole idea of open source and all these open technologies and incorporate those in our society as part of our life. Because it's time to think about us than just to think about that world. If we develop good open source software applications and technologies, people are going to follow us because we've adopted them. It doesn't happen like this. You develop it and somebody else will just adopt it like that. It has to be an ecosystem. So every person who's part of this larger ecosystem is an ecosystem in themselves.
Usually what we hear in the market is that the people who have experience of around 15 years, 20 years, they are leading into the market and they are not letting the other people come into the market with new concepts or with this open source stuff. So how can we take over this thing out of the market, and how can we...
I would totally not agree with even 1% of this theory. Because if you looked at Clip Bucket, that was completely developed by a freelancer. He put it out onto the world, right? You had 2 different websites in Pakistan which were giving you YouTube content according to filtered according to social norms in Pakistan. So that gives you an idea. The ecosystem is not dependent on other people. You bring 100,000 people, they cannot stop me from developing open source. That's the beauty of the system. It's an open system. It's available online. Innovation happens at the ends of the internet. The internet itself is not compelled to block any person who has knowledge and who has some, let's say, technology experience in putting a product out there and advocating for its use. So in reality, if kids start participating in the open source movement from within colleges and schools, I can completely trust in this phenomena that jobs are secondary to their nature. Primary is innovation which they do with their own hands. So no, you have 30 years of experience. It cannot counter the entrepreneurial spirit in Pakistan. Kids will keep on coming up with ideas. If you don't fund them, they don't give a damn. They'll cultivate it themselves somehow.
And sir, do you think that this open source setup will revive our IT industry and we can be an IT hub in the future?
Your current new wave of IT companies is only running because of open source.